In the previous lecture, we talked about Java and that block of code. So basically, we used if statements over there, and we also used a for loop just to print the value of x in that for loop iteration. So see here again, if you want, just let me recap it. Block of code is nothing but within the brackets. Okay, I forgot to mention one thing. Whatever the thing is there inside this bracket. Okay, so this thing here is nothing but your block of code. Okay, after this opening of a curly bracket and end of this curly bracket, between this whatever is there, that is nothing but your block of code. So basically, if they ask anything for you to explain a block of code with an example, you can simply write a whole, like, and you can fill 1000 pages if you want, just writing the for writing about block of code. It's that simple. Now let us talk about if control statements. So under control statements, you have your if, then else, if else, nested if, for loop, and you have some versions in for loop, enhanced and another things. We will be seeing that. Then you also have while, do while. So these kind of statements do you have. Let us talk one by one. So now as you saw here, if, so let us take example. So this class, again I will say sample. Okay, so here let me write my main program. Okay, public static void main, here string args. Okay, so args basically that argument string, so whatever character we write. So this thing you have to remember. In basics you have to remember this. So suppose same example, I'll take int x comma y. Okay, and I'll say x is equals to 10 and x is equal so I mean y is equals to 20. Okay, in same thing I'll write. So we wrote here 3 if conditions, right? So you can see here, first we checked if x is less than y, then we change the value of x. If then we checked if it is equal to y, then again we change the value of x. Then again we checked if it is greater than y, what will be the value of then what will be printed, and here yeah, that's it. Suppose now if you change this things, what will happen, you can also check that from your side. Okay, so see here, first if I put this condition here, if x is greater than y, it will be false. Okay, so then I will print x is not greater than y, then I can write this same code again, x is. So let us see here, I will write here if. Okay, so first we will say only if and else, then we will go for nested if. Okay, nested if is nothing but if statement within a one if. Okay, so if else, nothing but like that. So let us see, if x is greater than y, so what I will write, so I short form, you better write full, you cannot write this in exam, you have to write full form. So what you do, x is greater. Okay, okay, then I have to use this bracket. Anyhow, for only one condition or only one statement, there is no need to use bracket also, but still let us use. Else, then I will write sy so s, so x is smaller. Okay, so this is one basic example. So what I did, if statement. So first I checked whether if x is greater than y. If it is not greater than y, if it is greater than y, I will print x is greater than y, greater. Else means obviously there will be one check, either it is less or equal. So this will be printed x is smaller. So now one thing let us notice here. Here only x is greater ka condition. So what conditions can occur? X is greater than y, x is less than y, x is equal to y. Okay. So now as you can see here, this was satisfied and this we check somehow, but what about this? So let us see now same thing. Now what I will do, one small changes I will do here. What I will do, I will say else if. So previously what you saw, that was your else and if condition. So here else if, what is x is less than y. Okay, sy, so system dot out dot println x is smaller. Okay, then what I will say, I will write else. Now as you can see here, you can do two things here. you can simply write else and write sy this system dot full, complete that line, not just this so x is equal, because anyhow like logically that's the only thing left, because in greater it will check greater number, in less if it is smaller, this condition it will check only smaller. Suppose if y is 20, right, so this condition it will check only from 21 to infinity, and from here from this it will check 19 to less than value, don't go for infinity. Anyhow that depends on your int, so since it in int, right, it cannot go more than some 32,000 bytes or something. Okay, so here you can either write the same, if else if x equal to y, let me just change, else if x is equal to y, and after writing this lastly you will write else error something, you will write else syso is visible, right. So here I can write error calculating, okay, like that something I write, so this is nothing but your nested if statements. Okay, it's very simple and very easy to understand. Now let us see in for loops. Okay, we also we have already seen about for loop, what is it. So in for loop, let me write the syntax first. For, here we will write initialization. Okay, initialization, then we have here condition, then we have iteration. Okay, so let me write one example along with that. Suppose for int I equals to 0, if anyhow my x is declared in the program, so I'll take int x equals 0, x less than some number, suppose 5, so I'll say x plus plus. Here I can write my block of code whatever I want, whether I want to print the value or whether I want to change the value of x for something or anything. Okay, so here I can write print simply here I can write only x without bracket. Okay, if I am not using brackets, so only the value of x will be printed. So how will be the output? 0 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, how this thing is coming one by one in next line. Why? Because here system dot out dot print ln is there. If only print is there, na, so it will be print like 0 1 2 3 4, like this it will be printed. Since you use print ln, it will be printed like this. Sometimes what happens, you can also use for, let me just erase this. Okay, so I can also write for like this, like this. So here it's like infinite loop, it will be like looping inside again and again, but still how this can be used. Now I can say like for something, so here I can write so here int x and y already said, so here I can use my if conditions here. Okay, for initialization, so let's suppose, let me say x is equals to 1. Okay, so I'll write if x is greater than 0. Okay, so what I will do here in this part of block, I will say x plus plus. What this will happen, x is equals to x plus 1. Okay, close. Okay, now again what I will do, so if according to this this statement, it will be keep on incrementing, and let me also print. Okay, along with that, so here only x. Now what I will say, if x is equals to suppose some 10. Okay, so here what I can say, if x is equals to 10, then I will simply write break. Okay, so because of this break statement, it will come out of the loop. Now see here, initially what we say, I will write one in here, so for x equals to 0. Okay, here suppose it was 1. Okay, x equals to 1, x less than equal to 10, x plus plus. This same block of code is written like this. How we use it? So here we can depending on what you are doing now, you can change, you can initialize whatever you want inside this for loop, and yeah, so here this initialization now, suppose x is 1 here. Okay, and if x is greater than 0, x plus plus. So if x equals to 10 only, I'll what to say, come out of the loop. But here one thing is there, still this block of code will go under infinite loop. Why? Because whenever the for loop is again repeating, right, so here I am initializing my x as 1. So what I have to do, I can initialize here outside int x equals to 1, okay, and here I can put the condition. Now this thing will perfectly work and my output will be 0 1, I mean, so it's starting from 1, right? So 1 2 3 4 so on up to 10, okay. So from 1 to 10 it will be printed like that. So this is one kind of like version of for loop how you can use. Now let us see another version in for loop, like how can we use this for loop. This is not like we don't have to study this much in detail, but since anyhow if we are explaining, so why not we do. So suppose, see now what you saw for suppose let me say let me say I itself, okay, I equals to 0, I less than 10, so I plus plus I said, okay. So now suppose I can also do one more thing here. So now I can do more than one user initialization with the help of comma. So how that can be done? For I equals to 0, comma j equals to 4, okay, and what I say, I less than j, condition is I less than j, here I plus plus comma I j minus minus, okay. So see here I have used with the help of comma I have did 2 initialization and 2 iterations. Then what I will do here, okay, so I will say system dot out dot println, so I will say a I mean I is equals to plus I, okay, same thing j equals to plus j. So now what will happen, let us see one by one. So initially I is 0 and j is 4 and I less than j, so I plus plus will happen and j minus minus, so we will print here, okay. So I is equals to 0, okay, and then here j equals to 4, then again I equals to 1, j equals to 3. This will be our output. How? So see I was 0 and j is 4, so its condition is satisfied. So now it will print I, okay, so it won't print like this, yeah, it will print like this itself, sorry, I equals to let me remove this, just not looking good. So I equals to here 0, j equals to 1, I equals to sorry 4, I equals to 1 and my j is equals to 4, sorry 3, mistake happens, okay. He everyone is human, even I am human, not a robot. So see here why it stopped here, because first when the condition was true, so my I was 0, right, and my j was 4, so I should increase by 1 and j should decrease by 1, so I became 1 and j became 3, so this will print, this printed, this printed. Now next what happened after the incrementation, this becomes 2 increase and this decrease at 2. So since this it is equal, it does not no longer satisfies this condition, so it will break out of the loop. So this is nothing but one of your way of using your for loop. So there is another thing we say in for loop, that is your enhanced for loop. Let us also see about that block of code here. Just to explain you the another version of this for enhanced for loop, or you can say for each version, okay. So this is nothing but your for each version of your for loop. So here what you do, usually this thing is new for us, so I'll talk about this later in the arrays video. So just understand, we have declared an array of number and we have also initialized the value in the same line, that is in this array of number is having 1 2 3 4, okay. And now I have also declared a variable that sum equals to 0, okay. So see here, now what I have done in my for loop, int x I have used this colon, not semicolon, and num, okay. So then what I have did, system inside this for loop I have printed system dot out of println value is and then plus x I did. So here what happens with this version of for loop, so one by one now whatever we have the values of these numbers, so x will take each place the value of these numbers in the array, okay. Then what I am doing, here I am printing the value of x initially whatever it is, and then I am adding that value of x in this sum. So this statement is nothing but sum plus equals to x. What is the meaning of this? Nothing but sum is equals to sum plus x. So writing this sum plus x, so I can write it as sum plus is equals to x. So this is nothing but this statement means sum is equals to sum plus x. Okay. So now let us see what will be my output. So here my output, so value is I have 1, then value is I have 2, so on like that. 3 and 4 I will have. Then now what happens? So it was 1, right? So sum is equals to, sum was initially 0, so 0 plus 1, what it is 1. Now then what will happen? So my x is 2, right? So this statement 1 plus 2, so sum plus 2, sum plus x is 2 here, so here it will be 3. So my sum is 3, so 3 plus next 3 is equals to 6, then 6 plus 4 I have is equals to 10. Okay. Then at the last sum is, then I will have here 10. Okay. So like this block of code will be written. So if anything you want to like ask about for loop, you can just comment and let me know. So for time being, this much is enough for our if else and then for loop, nested for loop. So I didn't talk about nested for loop, so let us talk about for loop. Nested for loop can be used to initialize your matrix. Okay. So I can say, like, just example I will tell. While talking about arrays, I will explain you about this. For I equals to 0, I less than m, I plus plus. Okay. Then for, in the say after here, okay, j equals to 0, j less than n, j plus plus. Okay. Then here I can simply write a of I j is equals to, here something I can give. For example, I can say this depends on how you write the block of code. So suppose you can say scanf percentage like that. So here you can say so this is creating, right? So here I will have that scanf statement is equals to array of I and like this. So here what will come, I can say sc is equals to, how this sc comes. Okay. So here scanf statement, this is a scanf statement. This we'll talk later while discussing about any lab program. Okay, so simply you can write here always best thing system.out.println. So system.out.println, I'll simply write, I don't want this, a of I j. Okay, so this is nothing but I am printing my matrix over here. So from this block of code you can see I have used more than one for loop, and here I can also use another for loop where I can give for k equals to 0, k less than suppose here some condition mnos or something like that, and here I will write k plus plus. This is for a 3-dimensional array, how we can write. So we will talk about 3-dimensional array and other things in our next lecture. So for time being, this much is enough for our if else, nested if and for loops.